Sabbath, bloody Sabbath.
I think it's on. Well, we'll just assume that it's on. Hey, what's up? HHP 475, Rog the Boarder here. R-O-G, Rog the Boarder. You know how to spell the border, B-O-A-R-D-E-R as in snow border. Yeah, check me out on YouTube if you want. Just do a search for Rog the Boarder. Right, Palmer's pressed me into duty a few times before. It's been a few years though. He's got something going on and he wants me to fill in for him because he can't get anybody else to do it. So he like calls me up, Rog, dude, I need this favor. And I'm like, of course, Palmer, whatever, you know. So once again, here I am bailing his sorry ass out. So you'll have to deal with me, all right? I got tonight's lecture covered. Got to do it in less than 10 minutes. You'll be happy about that because got to be able to get it up on YouTube. So it's got to be less than 10 minutes. So, all right, just look through the PowerPoint that he's got provided there. Anyway, what's my background? Well, I'm a boarder. I met Palmer. He was like a janitor at this detention facility that I used to kind of have to belong to, and yeah, whatever, long story, that's where I met Palmer. And some people think we're like related somehow, but it's like no way, different mothers, maybe the same father, who knows, but definitely different mothers. So anyway, you go through your PowerPoint slides and it says it's a small world after all. Click on that link. It's pretty trippy. You got to watch it. You got to figure out what's interesting about it. Better file that away because you know Palmer, that dude, he'll probably pull that out of his sphinctole and try and test you on it at some point. You know, that's the way he rolls. So anyway, yeah, then you go to the next slide. We're talking about waivers, alternative to waivers, and emergency care. Am I qualified? Well, absolutely not, other than the fact that, you know, emergency care maybe. I've been injured before. So, yeah, I chopped off my left hand here in a farm accident a few years ago. But it's all right. You know, I'm all right now. Suckers. Alright, whatever, where are we? Okay, waivers. What's a waiver? It's like, hey, check out that chick over there. Hey, waiver. Hey, what's going on, babe? No, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about like a legal waiver, right? Contract in which the participant agrees to relinquish the right to pursue legal action against the service provider. Yeah, whatever. Okay, waivers. Pretty big deal, though, because once you sign one, it gives somebody a lot of power. So you're basically being told if you sign a waiver, somebody's like, hey dude, here, yeah, welcome to our club. Really appreciate you coming, but we need you to sign this waiver. So realize if that happens, right, you're signing a waiver, that means that you're acknowledging the physical risks that you're assuming, right, and then you're also assuming legal risks, which means whoever the provider is can act negligently towards you and you can't do anything about it because they got a waiver. Okay, so it's a pretty important document. You can click on that link down below for Alpine Ascents if you want. That ties into the climbing books. That just gives you an example of a waiver out in the real world. Okay, where are we? Waiver tips. Well, there's a couple slides on that. Okay, they should be well written. Make sure that somebody is around when they get signed. They should let people know what all the risks are. So a waiver should detail all the risks that are out there. Must explicitly cover all the activities. What's the next one say? Do it at a convenient place. Well, what the hell? You know, you can read. I don't need to read towards you, at you. You can read all those. Bottom line is, client must KUA. Palmer's always KUA, KUA. It's like, whatever, Palmer. Know, understand, and appreciate and accept the risks. So the waiver is just an attempt to get the client to know, understand, and appreciate the risks. What's the ethics involved with waivers? Well, ethically, you know, bottom line is you're asking the participant to condone negligence on your part. Just because you have a waiver, now as the provider, you can act negligently towards them. You can be crappy at your job. And there's nothing they can do about it because they signed a waiver. Okay? Kind of an interesting deal. Alternatives to waivers, well, there's alternatives to waivers, and those are things like informed consent, assumption of risk, hold harmless, those sorts of things. Bottom line is, alternatives to waivers don't give up the right to sue for negligence. All right, that's the important thing. They still provide protection to you, the consumer, to sue for negligence if you want to. So For instance, an informed consent agreement only details the physical risks that you're getting into. It lets you know what the physical risks are. Say you're going in for surgery or something, that informed consent just says, hey, here's the physical risks of this surgery. You still get to retain the right to sue for negligence if that doctor does a crappy job. Okay, so best practices for you, the provider. What can you do to help your, excuse me, silent but deadly. Sorry about that. Oh, not so silent. All right. Best practices for you. Where were we before I was so rudely interrupted myself? For the provider, do what you can to help your clients KUA. Have all your paperwork ready. Yeah, whatever. Nobody does that. Best practices for you, the signer. Yeah, this is kind of important. Take a minute to read anything that somebody sticks in front of your nose to sign. Just take a minute and read through it. Make sure you know what you're signing. Is it a waiver? Is it informed consent? What is it? Like you go rent you go rent a board up at Schwag Bowl, you know, and it's like they give you some paperwork to sign. What did you just sign? You know, was that a waiver? Was that a participant agreement, or what? What was it that you just signed? You know, who knows? Well, if you read it, you have a better idea. All right, worst case scenario. Those little chicks with guns, man. What is that? I don't know. Who knows what Palmer's thinking sometime, but that dude in the back, what's his deal with that trippy little face mask on? Whatever. Okay, emergency care. Anytime those instances where medical or health care is provided to an injured or ill person on a sudden, immediate, or unexpected basis. Okay, sometimes you might be pressed into duty because of emergency care. I mean, that's probably why HHP makes you take first aid and CPR, right? Makes sense. Okay, best practices, depending on who you are. Maybe you're a teacher, coach, athletic trainer, exercise scientist, personal trainer, applied health, community health person, maybe somebody in the medical fields. What are the best practices you can do? Well, there's probably some common ones to all of them, right? Have your phone. Have some way to contact 911 or somebody else if you have some sort of emergency issue. Have all the equipment that you need. First aid kits, AED if you need it, phones, other stuff, paperwork, whatever you need to help take care of your people. Make sure your training certs are current. Make sure they're up to date. Have all the paperwork that you need organized. Again, tough to do. Nobody does that, but make sure you've got that handled. And then most places are going to have an emergency action plan. Just something in place so that people know know what they do, who to call, where to go, all that stuff, and then you should test that plan. So bottom line is, if you work somewhere, nod your head yes if you do. Okay, if you work somewhere, go check out your emergency action plan at your place of work, and then familiarize yourself with it so you know what's going on and you know what's in it in case anything bad ever happens. You're not just some schmuck standing around with his finger up his a-hole wondering what to do. You can actually lend a hand. Okay? So then the last thing is questions. Question mark. Anybody got any questions? Well, that's going to be kind of hard to figure out if anybody's got any questions since I ain't there. You're just watching this. So if you got any questions, ask whoever you're with. Maybe they'll know. Okay? The next part then is you got to do the lab. Right? So look for, what lab is it? I don't know. Palmer, he didn't tell me anything here. Let's see if we can dig through his desk here. Find something. Looks like lab number 7. So look on Moodle for lab number 7 and you'll be good to go. Alright? Late.